Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we're going to take a look at all the new and recently updated radar detectors. Now, the last time I did a video like this was back in November, and since then we've had a new radar detector come out that I haven't talked about yet, as well as some updates to a lot of the existing radar detectors, some pretty significant improvements to a lot of these. And so let's go ahead and jump into all the different changes and improvements here. Starting off with the Uniden R7. Big news, of course, auto lockouts are finally available for the R7. We've been waiting on them since pretty much the detector came out, and they are finally available. Unfortunately, they don't work perfectly yet. There still is a little bit of refinement that needs to be done, but I'm really glad to say that we do finally have auto lockouts. And then perhaps even bigger news than that, the false alert filtering, the BSM filtering, has been improved significantly, which has made the detector much quieter than before. It's been a really big improvement here. Now, this latest update, firmware 1.35, for some reason it's still not showing up on Uniden's website. I have no idea why. However, you can find it on RDF on the forums or over on my website. I'll go ahead and link to those down in the video description so you can go ahead and download the update. And then speaking of updates for you fellow Mac users, when Big Sur came out, the new version of Mac OS, it broke compatibility with the drivers that Uniden was using so their radar detector could communicate with the computer. For that reason, there's new drivers that are currently available on Uniden's website. And if you're updating on Mac and you haven't done so already, be sure to download the newest version of the drivers as well as the newer update software to ensure that you can continue updating your R7. Next, let's take a look at the Escort Redline 360C. Now this detector has had not one, but two updates. The first update was firmware version 1.6, which had a number of really nice improvements. Escort improved the performance of the detector, the reactivity, the response time. We also saw a nice bump in range, long-range detection as well. Additionally, Escort also improved the MRCD detection capabilities with the detector. They improved the arrows, they improved the detector's ramp-up, etc. There's a number of really nice changes here in this update. Then the next update was firmware version 1.7, which just recently came out. This was a pretty minor update, primarily just with some bug fixes. Things like when you disable laser detection in the detector, it now actually disables laser detection. Additionally, when the detector automatically learns a false alert and the auto lockout kicks in, it says stored on screen and it just gives you a quick beep. That beep can be pretty loud, and so they've just reduced the volume, which is a small change but really helpful. I hope they do the same thing with all the other Escort detectors too, so it's not so ear-piercingly loud. And then they've also made some other minor changes, things like improving the MRCD ramp up some more, as well as fix a bug for connectivity with some of the third-party head units, which you can have installed in your car. And then as always, to update your Redline 360C, you can just download detector tools off Escort's website, plug your detector in, and update it with your computer. Or if you've got Wi-Fi in your car or at home, the detector can automatically update itself over the air now that the updates are available. Next up, let's take a look at the Valentine 1 Gen 2. Now, the V1 Gen 2 has also had two updates. The first update is firmware version 4.1021. This update helped to address a number of things like the ghosting, to where the detector would report way too many signals at once. This update didn't completely resolve this issue, but it does look like it's reduced this issue in general to where it doesn't happen nearly as often. Additionally, there's also been some improvements to reactivity against instant-on Ka-band shots, and there's been some reliability improvements too. Now that said, there was also an issue that was introduced with this update to where the detector started getting a lot more BSM falses. And so the next update that came out, 4.1023, helped to, well, fix this and kind of roll back the BSM filtering to make it actually really good again. There were also a few other minor changes too, but really the big thing is just kind of restoring the BSM filtering. Now, both the V1 and the Redline 360C, if you try to order them, generally speaking, they're going to be on back order. We're just seeing delays due to the pandemic and whatnot. Issues as far as obtaining components. We're seeing reduction in availability of silicon needed for semiconductors for a variety of different chips and whatnot. So this is just kind of affecting a lot of industries across the board. Car manufacturers, GPU suppliers, all this kind of stuff. It's affecting the radar detector industry too. And so if you want any one of these detectors, generally what I recommend is just go to the website, order one, and whenever a new batch comes in, new detectors are available, to go ahead and ship one out to you. Now, speaking of Radenso Theia, I know a lot of you guys have been asking about that. I've been looking forward to it too. Seems like it's still delayed due to the pandemic. I don't have any new information, but of course, when I do and I've got something to share, I'll be posting tons of videos and information, so no worries there. Definitely make sure you're subscribed, and when I have information to share that I'm able to, I definitely will. Now, speaking of Radenso, we just got an update for the RCM. This new update is firmware version US 28, and the main new change is it now adds the ability to give you directional information to let you know if the signal is ahead or behind.
Ka-band 34.7 front. Ka-band 33.8 rear.
Plus, Radenso has also added a small bug fix for the removable display itself. Next, moving on to the AntiLaser Priority. This has actually had 2 updates, one that just actually came out recently. The first update is for firmware version 5.6.5, and it's got a couple of improvements. Things like improved jamming capabilities if you're using TX heads, as well as just improved jamming capabilities for different North American laser guns. And then there's also been just some minor under-the-hood improvements too. Then earlier this week, ALP just released a new update, version 5.6.6. And then this is again yet another update to add support for some of the newest and latest North American laser guns. Additionally, if you're running the ALP app on your phone, there's been an updated version of the app as well, just to add some additional audio capabilities for some of the newer Dragon Eye guns that are showing up here as well. So you can go ahead and update your ALP app for your phone, especially if you face any of the Dragon Eye cameras in your area. Next, let's talk about new radar detectors. There's a new radar detector from Rocky Mountain Radar, and you guys know my opinion on them, but they've got a new detector that's called the Odin. Now, the Odin is literally the exact same thing as their previous radar detector, the Judge 2.0. The only difference with Odin is just the fact that they've taken this detector and they've added a Bluetooth chip inside so that you can connect it with your phone. Then once you do that, you can just run Rocky Mountain Radar's app on your phone. It's not going to add any sort of GPS lockout capabilities like we see with Escort Live or JBV1, a lot of these other apps, but it is going to give you the capability to do things like maybe go in and adjust the settings of your detector. It's going to add your red light camera alerts through the app, and then it's also going to give you kind of the real-time alert sharing with other Rocky Mountain Radar drivers, basically just like Escort Live does, to share alerts with other drivers also running the detector and the app. Now, honestly, I doubt this is going to be a big deal at all, just because, well, there's only so many users, and even Escort, which has way more users and has been doing this for like, what, a decade or so? I mean, they still only have so many users compared to apps like Waze and whatnot, and Rocky Mountain Radar, I mean, sure, it's going to be small and whatnot, but it looks like they're getting into this now too. And then the detector itself, again, it's just the same thing as the Judge with the fake scrambling capabilities for both radar and laser, things like that. The detector itself is the same. Poor performance, waste of money, it's a scam. Avoid it. But they've got a new detector, so we can just kind of quickly mention that. And then finally, speaking of the alert sharing stuff, kind of like Escort Live, Apple, with Apple Maps, is actually coming out with an update to their app in iOS 14.5, which is going to allow you to manually report police spotted and alert other drivers who can then get notified too. Same thing we've got with Waze, same Google Maps added this a couple years back, and now Apple Maps is adding this too. I've done a video about this, kind of going into more detail and whatnot. I found that just with beta testing, it didn't seem to really report alerts properly, but at least it does look like they're adding this capability in, and I'm always happy to see more and more of this stuff being made available for a variety of different apps. And so, yeah, for you fellow iOS users, iPhone users, we've got police spotted alert reporting that's now going to be built into Apple Maps. And so with that said, that's just a quick run through here of all the new and recently updated radar detectors and laser jammers. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down in the comment area below. And as always, down in the video description, I'm going to have links to all the detectors, links to where you can download the updates or learn more about any of the updates. As always, a bunch more information down there. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next video.